Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is exactly 8:08 a.m. News and views on Salam Media. Our first guest is Dr. Angelique Cotzee. She is the chairperson of the Health Committee of South African United Business Confederation, and always a pleasure to have on the air. Long time no speak. Good morning. Welcome to the program. And let me add that you're looking great. You're really looking good.
Thank you. It's still early in the morning.
Okay, great stuff. Before we get to the heart of the matter, avian flu, which we're quite worried about, let's talk about, and I know we did touch on it the last time we spoke to you a couple of months ago, your new role at a new company. What is this all about?
It's a very interesting. It's in the business world, and it is trying to connect the different, like in the medical field, we're trying to connect doctors with business people in relationship with what if you would like to do, for example, medical tourism, then we assist and we help. We also work very closely. I work very closely with Gauteng Invest, the department, and Invests SA, and from Gauteng Health. I always want to bring in health, and we try to help and make it easier, the road easier for people who, especially in the medical field, who want to do business.
What about, I covered a story last week and the previous week as well. We have a lot of young unemployed doctors recently graduated, and they're just battling to find posts. And I'm sure you're aware of the story. Um, is there space for them to engage with you to try and place them? And I'm not quite sure how that fits in with the whole issue around community service as well, and writing board exams in South Africa, especially if they are foreign trained doctors.
So here's the problem. If they want to go into the private sector, they unfortunately need to be registered under the HPCSA. Now it's all dependable on their previous degree. The best advice I can give to anyone studied overseas, so if you want to get your degree there, work at least for 1 year as a general practitioner. That would make your entrance into the South African field much, much easier with the HPCSA, because I will look at all of that. However, if you haven't worked and your degree is not, or your university is not being acknowledged, you will have to go through the whole process. So there's a whole process in that. And I think maybe we need to have one morning, just a short discussion around this and how we can advise these youngsters on what to do. But let's come back. Once if you are being registered with South Africa and you can go and you are eligible to go into the private sector, then what I have found is that we need to help them. We need to, I want to say, you need to mentor them at least for 6 months to start to try to understand how it works in the private sector. It's the IT systems, it's the billing system, it's the medication. It's totally different than that to the public sector. The other problem is you might have limited registration and can only work then in the public sector, and that might be a problem. As you correctly said, there's not enough posts. So this is a huge problem. And again, even our own students graduated, did the internship and 1 year community service. We also find that it's very difficult for them to come into the private sector. So we suggest actually that we have mentorship with these youngsters, that they join senior practices so that we can teach them and learn them the skills that they need for private sector.
Whom do they contact to get mentorship for 6 months or a year so that they can easily move into the private sector?
They can contact me. They're more than welcome to contact me, and then we can see what we can do, again, depending on your qualifications, whether you're registered or not, and maybe also try then to help and assist them, or give them the right pathway to get registered in South Africa. It is a huge problem. It's really a problem.
I know you've moved away from the state health services, so to speak. You're now in, you're with the South African United Business Confederation. Great move. And I think you guys are going to be able to support the medical practitioners right across the board. You've spoken about medical tourism, which is huge and can, from what I've heard and read, very, very competitive, and the ideal destination for people to come from other parts of the world for medical treatment in South Africa. But let's just look at the state institution. We're sitting with a situation where they are overstretched. Patients are being possibly neglected. They're not getting the health service that they deserve simply because state institutions are understaffed. On the other hand, we have a surplus of doctors, young graduates that are crying out to be placed and crying out for work. So there's a disparity here.
Yeah, they are. Unfortunately, it is not only that the government or the public sector hospitals are understaffed. This is a much bigger problem. It lies. It should go back right to the premier of each and every province, because they are responsible for, for appointing the MEC of health of the provinces. We need to start looking at our accountability. We need to get corruption out. We need to get HR departments to understand what type of people do you need with their and what type of qualifications do you need to employ at the public sector hospitals. You cannot simply say, because a doctor's salary, it's, for argument's sake, 100,000 rand a month. I don't have that money, therefore I would rather employ 5 registered nurses, or it's more cost effective. But it's not going. You need to understand the hierarchy. You need to understand the role each and every one is playing, and not look at, I can, with 100,000 rand a month, I can employ so many other people. It's not going to add value. It's a teamwork. Medicine is a teamwork. Health is a teamwork. You cannot work on your own there. And we need people to understand. We need people to look at budgets and then implement those budgets. But it also doesn't help that you employ doctors and nurses, and then there's no water, there's no good electricity, there's no backup systems, and theatres are not working. That also is very demoralizing for any person. It doesn't matter whether you're young or old, to work in such circumstances. So we actually need to hold over all of the health system. And I'm not sure whether NHI is going to do that, because NHI is only the funding mechanism. It's not telling us how we're going to solve these problems. And that's the problems that we are facing with.
You actually preempted my next question. That was NHI. It's a bugbear with me, but we'll park it aside for another time. We need to get to the heart of the matter, and that, of course, is the avian flu outbreak. Can I please ask you to be patient? We're going for our first ad break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about avian flu outbreak and the impact on consumers here in South Africa.
It's a new era. Salam Media, humanitarian journalism.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib Black Seed. You can find Tib Black Seed at all leading pharmacies, or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
Conveniently located along the banks of the Crocodile River bordering the Kruger National Park, as a guest at Buckler's Africa Lodge, one can enjoy an amazing sunrise or sunset on our spacious deck area, while you catch a glimpse of some wildlife sightings along the Crocodile River. The sounds of the African savannah will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge, by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
The kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. Our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for that late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating, and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, now we cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Outbreak Lodge, your true home away from home. Outbreak is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Outbreak has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.outbreaklodge.co.za.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. It's exactly 20 after 8 o'clock this cold, overcast Wednesday morning in Gauteng. We are talking with Dr. Angelique Cotzee. She's the chairperson of the Health Committee of South African United Business Confederation. I took advantage of having her on air this morning to talk about unemployed doctors and the shortage of medical staff at state institutions. So thank you indeed for indulging me, Dr. Angelique Cotzee. The whole, the idea of having on the show this morning is about the warning of the expected poultry price hike, the scarcity of table eggs and poultry as a whole. So poultry producers have warned consumers to expect an increase in the price of chicken products ahead of the festive season. That doesn't bode well for us at all as consumers, does it? This unfortunately comes as the country is hit by what some poultry farmers have described as the biggest outbreak of avian or bird flu in South Africa. Worrying indeed. Why do we have these outbreaks? And is there any way that poultry farmers could, mitigate by identifying trends earlier on and putting measures in place so that we don't find ourselves in the situation that we're talking about this morning?
Yes, Julie, yeah, this is a very serious problem. I just quickly want to just give a bit of background, because you need to understand that most wild birds can be infected with your avian influenza viruses, but they don't get sick. But if poultry gets infected, they get sick and they die. Then I also would like just to remind our members that avian influenza strains, they can cause diseases in humans, but this is very rare. We see that the strains that have caused disease in humans are the normal influenza A, it's H5N1, and influenza A, H7N9. Okay, let's come back now to what we're currently seeing.
So can I just interrupt you there, Dr. Cotzee? You talk about H5N1 and H7, and those are the very strains that have hit our poultry producers right now. So is there perhaps a fear that this might cross over to us as humans?
Not now. For the moment, no, because, and here's the trick, the one that is currently responsible for a lot of these deaths in the birds or in poultry is the H7N6, which is unique to South Africa. This is not the normal strain that we normally see on the poultry farms. So here, this is different. And we do not have any vaccinations currently in South Africa against
Oh,
this H7N6. And this is, as I've said, it's unique. It's extremely fast spreading. And so far, up until yesterday, the stats that I do have is more than a quarter, more than 25% of the poultry has been affected and killed already and needed to be culled or killed because of this disease. And the problem with this also is, yes, you can get new chickens to come, but if the chicken or the mother hen that is laying the eggs, if they are infected, it becomes extremely difficult, to replace those chickens going forward. And it seems to us that it's a lot of the what we call braai chickens, the smaller ones that you will buy in Woolies or Checkers or any of those. Those are the ones that's mostly affected, yes. And in the end of the day, we will have a shortage. We are going to have a shortage of egg producings or eggs, as well as chicken themselves. And South Africa, chicken is quite a lot of the food that quite a lot of people are dependable on. Most of us can't afford some of the beef or the sheep or that type of meat, and then pork is not on everyone's list, depending on religion and all of that. So we are stuck, and we're going to have a problem coming Christmas. We're not far from Christmas or December. We're going to have really, really a problem, and we need to be aware of this.
so you talk about the issue around vaccines for
Mm.
the poultry industry. But you also indicated it's not available in South Africa. If the vaccine was available, how would it be administered to the poultry? Would be in their feed? A question number one. And then also, does this impact on poultry right across the board, free range poultry, as well as the incubated type? The mass-produced incubated type that we South Africans are so reliant on. And you have rightly indicated it's the issue around affordability and one of our greatest sources of protein. That is why we consume so much chicken in South Africa.
Yes, so it is across the board in South Africa. It affects the farms, the poultry farms. It affects every farmer who is producing chickens or eggs for the community or for the industry. It will affect all of those farms. So it's not only limited to certain farms. It's across the border. It started in Mpumalanga a few months ago, but currently Gauteng is the epicenter. And we are really going to have a trouble going forward. And I don't think people understand that. So what they are currently doing, because there's no vaccines, is they restrict movement on the farm. So no one are allowed onto the farm from the outside. There's strict measurements regarding hand washing, wearing of masks, protective clothing, because you cannot afford to spread the virus from one farm to another by humans or by taking those poultry out that's already been infected. I actually want to say it's a disaster, because if already at this stage a quarter of our chickens has been culled with no vaccines in sight, it's not something that we're going to contain that easily going forward in South Africa, we are really in trouble here. And as I've said, this is a total new strain, unique to South Africa. It's the H7N6. It's not the normal one that they in the past saw. It's still there. The normal one is still there. But it's this new strain that's the problem.
Dr. Angelique, how do poultry farmers pick up that they've been hit by the strain? How do the poultry present? And what happens on the off chance that a few of these chickens that do have the virus gets onto our supermarket shelves, we buy it and we ingest it? How serious is that situation?
That but for if it makes it to our shops, I don't think you have to cook it. I don't think that would cause any disease in humans. That's not really the way that it transmits into human. So that's not. It's the live bird that's the problem, or the live chicken that's the problem, because this is unique to our poultry. Then how would that chicken present? They would be for, it's like any other viral infection for the day or two. I don't think they will eat that much. But then they would just start to die. You will walk in and the chickens are dead, or and then you start to wonder, and then you bring in your veterinary services. They check and make sure that is how it normally started or normally starts. And then you go out there and you start to spread the word. Once if you see that this is a strain that and there's more than one farm being involved, you will then start to spread the word, especially under the poultry farmers, to make sure that to alert them that there's a possible strain going around. Be aware, look at what is happening on your farm, and if you then see that your chicken just die, they really start to die. You have to make
In
sure
masses,
that you do
obviously.
not spread it.
Yeah. Obviously, and you need to notify the Department of Agriculture as well, and they then get the word out. How long does do these episodes last? How long do the poultry farmers, have to wait it out till they start breeding new batches of chicken that won't be affected by the strain and will be safe for us as consumers, and hopefully then the prices will come down and it will be readily available for consumption?
Well, I'm not a chicken farmer, but my common sense is telling me, and knowing virus infections and knowing how viruses react, I don't think there's a simple answer to what you are asking it now. When will it be contained? For now, it is not contained. So if it's spread to the rest of the chicken farms, we're going to be in big trouble. Remember, it also affects the person who is in the township who's got a few chickens. If he takes his chicken to the market that's already been infected without showing any symptoms, let's say a day or two being infected, going to a chicken market, there's other chickens there. They can get infected. Again, you take your chicken back to your farm because you haven't sell the chicken. And then it spreads. It becomes a vicious circle. So it's not only the big poultry farmers that we need to be aware of this. It's also the ordinary Jan Alleman, the person out there having his own little chickens and selling them. Please, you have to listen to what they're saying. And if you are the small farmer with a few chickens and you see your chickens are starting to die, get the Department of Veterinary Services, Agriculture in, let them check and make sure. Because there's strict measurements that will be put in place so that you do not spread it further. We cannot answer that question on how long this is going to take, because it all depends. It's dependable on whether people listen. I know that the big farmers, poultry farmers, they will put measurements in place. They will really try their utmost best. But it's more than just them. it's the normal person out there as well with his few chickens.
Okay, so finally, I'm kind of obviously this is going to create a scarcity of chicken and eggs. People are going to now go out and stock up, undoubtedly. Um, you are saying that should one eat the infected chickens, for example, the chicken hasn't died, or that, a lot of chickens haven't died, but they have already um, got the virus inside of them. It's still quite safe for us to consume
Yes.
it
As
without
far
even.
as yeah, as far as I know, if I'm wrong, I would love the chicken farmers to educate us on this. But it's not been spread. That's not the way that it's spread. It's not spread via a dead. I'm not talking about a chicken that died on the farm and then you didn't destroy the carcass. Regarding to the regulations, I'm now just talking about the chicken that's been infected, still haven't shown any symptoms, going to the market, you buy it. Will it affect you? No, not as far as I know. I'm not
Okay.
aware of that.
The only effect is going to be on us as consumers is the scarcity of
Yes.
poultry products and eggs, and the price increasing, prices going through the roof, unfortunately.
No.
I did say it was my final question, but I do have to get this question in. Um, on the off chance that it does cross over, the virus crosses over to us as humans, how will it present signs and symptoms, and how sick will we become having contracted this virus?
Okay, good question. If it goes, it's like I've said, the normal influenza A that we have seen is body aches and pains, fever, a running nose, cough, don't feel very well for about 2 to 3 days. And because it's a viral infections, and if your immune system are good, you will normally be fine. You can use any, paracetamol or ibuprofen or that type of things, and bed rest. However, if you are a person with a weak immune system, you're not feeling well, just go to your doctor, have a checkup, make sure that there's no other secondary infection. But if no, the normal, what we have seen now during our winter as well, they're sick for about 2 to 3 days and then they get over this. But rest, please, with any viral infection, doesn't matter whether it's avian flu, doesn't matter what type of viral infection you have. Just stay at home. Just give your body time to rest, because it's still an infection and we do not have antibiotics for viral infections. You have to rest, and do not expect the cough to improve within 2 to 3 days as well. We see this. Patients got this unrealistic expectations that once if you start to treat them symptomatically, that they must be better with the cough or the running nose within 3 or 4 days. No, that's not how it works. Not with viral infections. You have to bring your part, play your part as well by resting. Give your body enough time to recover. Fluids, but rest.
Dr. Angelique Cotzee, always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you indeed for your time this morning on the show. And all I can say, and I know I'm going to be very negative here, is people listening into us this morning, I shouldn't be actually saying it because we don't want to cause a stampede at the supermarkets, but stock up. And if you don't, you ain't going to have any eggs and chicken come the festive season. God bless, thank you, and stay
Thank
safe.
you. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. 8:36 news and views on Salam Media, and in a minute or two we're going to be crossing over to India and talk with the editor at the Cognate, which is based in India, and that of course is Sheikh Zakir Hussain.